Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to One Hub Racing Season 25. We're at the penultimate round of the season, and tonight we could see a champion being crowned at the P1 tier. Who knows what could happen here tonight? My name is Jesper, one of your commentators throughout this evening's race, and joining me in the commentary box, once again, we have Mr. Mike Edwards. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Just looking forward to this one, the penultimate round of the season, and we are at the home of British motorsport. It's going to be a fantastic race, that is for sure.
Yeah, it is. First use in Formula 1 back in 1950. Was born at a site of a Royal Airfield, which is near Brooklands, which was very, very exciting. And of course, we've seen many changes around the track over the years. There was an original pit lane between Abbey and Woodcote Corners. That was abandoned and demolished in 1952. Then there was the Aintree circuit that got built. The Woodcote chicane was no longer used, and there was a new right-left chicane. There were lots of changes around it, and it's a very exciting track. But we got quite a few incidents to go through from last time out, because we had a break week last time out, because a lot of you, including myself, was watching the Brazilian Grand Prix, and what a great result that was. But the championship has turned on its head, because we saw there were team orders between Casper and Arnold, and they weren't in the same team. And the stewards caught light of this, and there were 5 championship points to be deducted from both drivers. And the reason was Arnold let Casper pass to take the victory on the final lap on the race to help Casper's title hopes. And it was a violation of Rule 10 of the General Rules, which is on SimGrid and Discord, saying drivers from the same esports team can't act in bias towards fellow esports team members unless they're raced for the same in-game team. So Casper could still have Tony, for example, which won't happen because they're the only two fighting for the championship, and Arnold could be his teammate, but they can't help each other. And they didn't cover up the violation because it could have been worse otherwise, and that's why 5 championship points will be deducted. And it was clear cut, wasn't it, Mike? Because you called it from your end, you showed me afterwards, and yeah, it was unfortunate, but it had to be done.
Yeah, it was completely blatant from what I saw and that, and obviously, you know, it is a shame that it happened, but they're going to take their penalties on the chin. They're going to have their 5 points deducted, and now essentially the championship is all in Tony's hands.
Yes, indeed. And I was going to go through permutations, but it is very simple tonight. What Tony needs to do is score. If Tony scores 12th place or better, which is what you get for a point, or you get fastest lap point if you're outside the top 10, he'll be crowned champion no matter what Casper does. I can go through the standings for you at the moment just to show you, because they're about to go qualifying now. 162 points for Tony to 142 for Casper. Those are the 2 drivers to keep an eye on as well. And I was looking through the rivalries going into this evening, or the driver's press conference for Tony. He was asked, how would you approach the last 2 races? Will you be conservative and try to get it home in one piece? Or will you be asking your teammates for help? And he said, you'll be approaching the last 2 races like any other race. No need to treat this any different. Me and Casper usually help each other with quality laps and race pace. Given I've not spoken to Casper after his blatant rule break, I'll be flying solo, it seems, the last 2 races. He wasn't the first one to point out the rule break. It's a shame because Casper is a nice guy. So it looks like, Mike, those 2 will be flying solo, unlike the last few races. So we could see a potential new race winner tonight.
Potentially. I mean, we've seen how well they've worked as a pairing over the course of the season. Obviously, as heated up towards the end of the season, I mean, they've wrapped up the Constructors' Championship, and obviously then it all becomes about the Drivers' Championship, and there's every single driver for himself in that, and I think we're going to get elbows out between the 2 Haas drivers here tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be different. The constructors are out the way. They worked really well together as a team. So now it is every man, literally, for themselves. Apologies about the attendance tonight. Only 13 drivers. It's a bit of a shame, actually, that we got low attendance. But it is all about quantity at the end of the day, not quantity. Let me just turn the sound down because it is very, very loud, I've just noticed. So I do apologise for that one, but we got one of the first cars out on circuit, and luckily, Mike, the weather's going to be very, very dry going into this as well. What makes this such a unique circuit?
Well, Silverstone is one of those tracks where everyone knows this circuit like the back of their hand, so it promotes a lot of good racing, just for the simple fact that everyone just knows this track so well. And there's a lot of high-speed corners there, some very tricky slow-speed corners. And of course the Maggots and Beckett's fast left, right in the middle sector can catch people out if they get a little bit too greedy on those curves. And, you know, it can definitely throw up a lot of difficult moments for all these drivers.
Watching Craggy start his lap time, there was another incident that was reported to the steward, a 3-place grid penalty going to tonight, and then a 5-second time out to be added to Senna. So both of them were found at fault for one half of the incident. There were 2 parts to the incident as well, and he outbraked himself, Craggy, going into the stadium section in Mexico, resulted in a half spin. So wherever Craggy qualifies tonight, 3 places will be added, and Senna obviously got a 5-second time penalty for outbraking himself in a similar fashion. So the 2 teammates not working well there, but let's hope that doesn't happen tonight. Anyway, so Craggy needs to get a good performance. I was very impressed with his performance in the last few races as he exits the final few corners, going into Club and into the newly formed Hamilton Straight. What can he do? A 1:26.8, but we do know the times can be quicker, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll be looking at a low 26 by the end of this qualifying session. Maybe we could see the likes of Tony maybe dipping into the 25s if he's absolutely on it, because he definitely has that kind of pace. So I'm not sure what kind of practice he has done. I did see that he has mentioned that he hasn't done much practice around here. So maybe we could see a little bit of a slip up from Tony.
Yep, you never know. As Casper goes second fastest, Tony Purple set to 2 as he heads towards Stowe corner. 5th gear on entry, 6th gear on exit for him as he exits Vale now. Don't clip too much of the curve because there's a heavy bump and you do not want that. Sausage curves are a nightmare in Formula 1 as Tony goes up to the line. 1:26.4, 2/10 quicker than Nick Egan, and he means business here tonight. He has 2 opportunities to be crowned champion in the next few weeks, and he wants to do it at the first opportunity. Arnaud, who exits the final corner as well. It was a shame that he didn't know about the rule about not helping anyone else other than your teammate, but it's in the rule book. Rules are rules, as Arnaud slots himself into 9th place. Entity has crashed out, unfortunately. I don't know what happened there, but I'm just looking at the chat, Mike, and he doesn't seem to be too happy with himself.
Yeah, the thing is, it's so easy to do around this track as well. Sometimes, like, especially on the exit of left field, for example, very easy to get on the throttle just a little bit too much, and you spear off into the wall on the right. Also coming through Cop's corner, you could very easily just lose the back end if you don't have the right setup, and that could also launch you off into the wall. And it's unfortunate for Entity, but he will have an opportunity to come back in the race, so it is not over for him yet.
It is definitely not over for any of our drivers, really, because Silverstone is just probably one of the easiest tracks to overtake on the calendar. You don't necessarily have to qualify well to score highly. A lot of people can gain quite a few places around here. So we will see what we could do. So everyone is now diving into the pits to get off their first soft tires and go onto their second soft tires. The advantage of a lobby restart straight after this, they can get 3 soft runs and save a set of softs for the main race. But looking at the pre-race interviews, looking at setup changes, Senna feels like he's happy with his setup, but he's usually not good around this track, so see how he goes. So he's not too confident. Atslot doesn't like this track, even though he thinks the setup is good. He doesn't like the random bumps. Yeah, I noticed that, especially going onto the Wellington Straight. You have to place your car right on the middle of the circuit, way off the racing line, to gain the time. Because if you don't, you'll hit that bump on the racing line and you just lose so much time. And if you haven't practiced enough, that's going to cost you quite a bit of time. And that's what quite a few people were commenting on in the pre-race interviews. It's just about the bumps.
Yeah, I haven't done too much running around Silverstone, so I haven't experienced the bumps too often. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where obviously a lot of practice goes in for these drivers to avoid little issues like that, which could cost them half a tenth or maybe even a full tenth towards the end of the lap. And every little helps you in qualifying.
Yeah, anything can happen, of course. Senna's been on those tyres for 3 laps, so I don't know what's happened there, but I'm guessing he just wants to get a little bit of a feel, a little bit of a practice going into this evening's race, because some people may not have had the time, and some people may have not played the game since the last time we were here in Mexico City. And it was Casper that won the race last time out in Mexico, and it was Arnold got P2. Kieran got P3. He's not here tonight, though. So, pretty much, we could see a completely different podium. We have to wait and see. Quite a lot of people like this track, but there's certain people that hate it. It's kind of like a Marmite situation. You either love it or you hate it. Of course, Lewis Hamilton won here in real life. Samster's about to start his lap, heading towards turn number 1. Samster's a little bit of the unknown going into this season. Of course, he had a P5 about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he finished 14th in Mexico, which wasn't very good for him. So he's been a little bit inconsistent, but we know that he is a one-hub veteran, a one-hub legend. He likes this track with a heartbeat. So if we could have an upset result tonight, I think Samster could be the one that could deliver the goods.
Potentially. I mean, he is 2 times up in Sector 1, which is a good, healthy amount to be improving in Sector 1. But he is going to need another 2.5 attempts if he wants to try and climb any more positions at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see what we could do, of course, and hopefully you won't get caught up from people that are in that phase at the moment, which he does not. Oh, Samson's had a moment as he goes through the exit of Chapel, so that would have costed his time. He's going to definitely back off there and let the other people through as they're just about to start their lap time. Is anyone else on a flyer right now? Casper is heading towards Sector 1. He is almost 2 temps up in the first sector. He's looking very, very comfortable there. But we've seen him go faster in Sector 1 in a practice. But again, he just had a moment in Woodcote. They're struggling there for a little bit of traction. So we'll see if that's lost him a bit of time going through there as well. Anyone else behind him on a lap? We've got, I think, no, it's not Nick. Nick's on a lap. Yeah, Nick's going to be the... Yeah, he is in Sector 2. He's a few 100s up on his previous best. So he must have had a bit of a moment early on in the lap, or maybe is what he could do at the moment, unless he can have a miraculous final sector. He said to me earlier on, he likes this track. It's one of his favourite tracks on the calendar, and he was looking forward to racing it. So will that translate to results here tonight? P2 still for him, but he lost all that time in that final sector.
Yeah, and Nick right now, he's looking at marginal gains on that lap, and hopefully that lap will give him a little bit of an insight on where he can find that little bit of extra time. Because obviously, on your first runs, you're just trying to set the best lap that you possibly can. On your second runs, you can have a little look at that delta and see if you're going to be up or down, and see where you can gain the time, where you've lost the time, and maximize it then on your final runs.
Yeah, I think so too. So we're going to see that with Tony now, as he's a tenth, almost a half a tenth up on his previous time, and that's going to be miraculous. Is there someone that could go closer than 125s? I think it can be Tony. Oh, nope, he's aborted. Tony, what are you doing? You were half a tenth up. You could have got pole. I'm guessing he doesn't want to show his true pace just yet. He wants to allow other people to get laps and maybe put less pressure on himself, but fair enough. Arno, by the way, has just finished his lap. He slots himself into P2. He's also another driver that likes this track. He's come through leaps and bounds since we joined the league in Brazil. Of course, won there in Brazil due to the safety car helped him with his strategy, but his pace, he kept on to the lead there. And he did very well in Mexico too, despite obviously him getting that 5 points deduction. But still, a P2 is a P2. And that is a very impressive lap from him. Not far off Tony, to be fair.
Yeah, not far off, but of course we did see Tony was a tenth and a half up in the middle of the sector. So, I mean, you take the current lap time as a pinch of salt from Tony, definitely go quicker. But a good lap time there from Arnold. I was on board with Malvin, who seems to be really struggling out there. And he has obviously invalidated his lap, but he was 14 seconds up, so it would have been a 29 flat. Sorry, a 27 flat, sorry.
Yeah, I think it would have been a 27 slap. Barry is struggling a little bit as well. I think he was saying in the Discord chat that he was struggling a little bit with his brake pedal today, so he's just getting used to that. And if you have like a brake in a different position, it's really hard to get used to. So you'll probably be using quite a few exploratory laps just to get a feel for the car. And the pace he's showing at the moment is nowhere near what he's capable of right now. Again, unless he can find some time in that final sector. But you never know, anything can happen in the P1 tier, as Barrett is just about to finish his lap in the RB. 27.7, that's more like it from Barrett, but still a few tenths slower than the top 10 right now. I think Marvin has backed off. Yes, he has.
Senna's
about to finish his lap. Yeah, Senna's 2 tenths up in the middle sector. That will put him, I think that will put him near Arnold Nick's pace. This is looking good for the Kick Sauber team as he exits the final corner too. Let's see how he approaches the Hamilton straight. That was very nicely done from ERT Senna. And it's a 126.62. And he nailed that final sector. That is fastest.
Yeah, that's a fantastic lap there from Senna, and obviously Tony was a 10th and up on his previous lap time, as Craggy goes up in the P2 there with a 26.3. So right now it's a Sauber front row lockout, and Tony now, after doing that lap, then coming back into the pits when he could have improved by a 10th and a half, now has all the pressure running on him for his final lap here.
The Kick Saubers are looking very good indeed, and especially with the two of them scoring consistently, they could jump up the Constructors' Championship if the other teams don't score well. And with low attendance tonight, of course, we've got only one Williams, but they crashed out in qualifying. Aston Martins, they need to do well. They've got quite a few teams that only got one driver tonight. And with the two Saubers performing consistently at the front here tonight in qualifying, this could look very good for them. And points mean pride at the end of the day, and they can climb their way back up at the moment. So everyone else has just finished their second laps, and they're about to go for one final run. Casper is bucking the trend and doing one of his final runs right now, so he's going to be the one to set the benchmark to see if anyone could beat him. But he's got to nail this lap perfectly. He's got to beat Tony tonight, otherwise it's game over for him in the fight. But I don't think he's expecting to win the title anyway. He just wants to have a little bit of fun, but a bonus is a bonus for the ELT driver if he can do it. So Casper's on the run, and that is the only one person who's out on the run. Everyone else is just going to wait for a long time to get their laps in, because this is one of those tracks, Mike, where track evolution is even more key.
Yeah, and as you see in the third sector, they Casper 700 for a second as he comes through left field now, looking for a good exit as we come through the right end of Woodcut onto the national pit straight as we head down towards Cobb's Corner. Kept his foot in there, nice line through Cobb's on Casper as he now approaches Maggots and Beckett's, and this is where it's so easy to pick up an invalidation, Jess.
It is so easy to pick up an invalidation around here, especially through that section. Luckily, Barrow's brakes are just fixed. It was the electrical spray pedometer that messed him up. So he did a bit of a reset, good spray, and then brake on and off, and it worked. So he's back to normal, which is great news because we don't want 12 drivers on the grid. Casper then, can he beat Senna's time of a 126.2? The answer that is no. A P4 for Casper. That's not what he would have wanted, but still, that's near his teammate. But Tony has got some time left in at the tank at the moment. Everyone else is about to start their outlaps and their flyers right now. Who do you think is going to get provisional pole position for today's British Grand Prix? And he said Brazilian there because that's where we were in real life as well. I'm looking at the Discord chat, by the way. Senna said he didn't know how he did that lap, and he don't think he can improve on that, but you never know with the track evolution. Senna, I think, Mike, because it surprised himself.
Yeah, Senna, I mean, it's an incredible lap from Senna. He's put himself in prime position here to go for pole position. But there is one man that we do have to keep our eyes on, and that is Tony, who is over a 10th up in Sector 1 already. He's lost the back end. Tony's lost it.
Tony is also, I just caught the aftermath of that, Mike, and that is very sad for Tony. So he's not going to challenge for pole position unless he has time to go on. No, he doesn't. So that is it then for Tony. And even though he just needs to score, that might have put a little bit of pressure on him right now. Bear is about to go on their outlap. But so are the two Sauber drivers. Casper's on the run right now, but he's going to go into the pit lane unless he has time to go again. He saved a lot of ERS, so he's got time to go out. If you no, checker flag has fallen for Casper, so he's going to go in into the pit lane. Senna is going to go through sector 1 now, but he's being blocked by one of the RBs. This is not good at all, so I don't think he's going to improve unless he can get a bit of toe and slipstream from Barrett, who is on a lap at the end of the day as well. It's going to be like an overtake. Oh my god, it's like we're watching racing. But he's a 10th up still in the first sector, but he could have been even quicker than that.
Yeah, Senna probably won't be too happy with that. Arnold did improve on his lap time. He splits the two Haas's up in the P4 for him. Lost a bit of time in the final sector, but right now, I mean, it looks like it is all going Senna's way right now. Nick coming to the end of his lap. He's trying to climb up an extra couple of positions. He's not going quick enough to jump any places so far, but he is improving, so let's see what he does as he crosses the line. He improves by 11 hundredths.
That is not bad for him. And look at the how close the gap is. And Craggy stays in P2. We did see Axelot jump into third. And we got that big rivalry between Axelot and Lukey in the Drivers' Championship for third as well. So that's going to help Axelot, but not Lukey. Senna, who surprised himself in qualifying. He's got pole at the moment, but he wants to improve on his time. And did he improve on his time? I think he did. I think he did improve on his lap time. Senna, take a bow. You just got your first pole position in the P1 tier at One Hub Racing.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic lap from Senna.
He didn't improve.
It was an improvement in the end, but he already had it in the bag, and I think he knew that when he was on his lap, so I'm guessing that's why he backed off.
Yeah, I think he realised he got pole, and he didn't want to put too much pressure on himself. But here's your starting order then for today's race. Senna, from Craggy, Axelot, Tony, Arnold, Casper, Nick, Lukey, Malvin. Wait for your top 10, and Samster, Barrett, and Entity. Round up your order, but don't forget Craggy does have a 5-place grid penalty due to his incident that he had with Senna earlier on in Mexico a few weeks ago. So we are going to have a little bit of a lobby restart, but let's reflect what happened in qualifying. It was a good story between the two Saubers, but they're not going to be starting on the front row because of Craggy's penalty.
Yeah, Craggy will drop down the order. I mean, since Senna came into that second seat at Sauber, in terms of appearing, a very quick pairing was born at that team. But from the beginning, Senna did say he's not playing the team game, he's driving for himself. And we've seen that because the battles that those two have had in the races thus far has been absolutely incredible, Jess.
That it really has. Apart from Mexico, where they had a little bit of a squiggle, it was really great to see them fighting between the pair of them, and I really hope they could do well in the main race coming up as well. We could see Craggy climb up his way, and him getting a grid penalty here is not the end of the world because he can gain quite a bit of positions anyway, because I know we can. Another driver that's also got a grid penalty is Waitsy. He will be taking his engine penalty. Well, he has to, because looking at the engine graphic, if he doesn't take his engine tonight, he will get a disqualification. So he had to take it tonight anyway. But an engine wear penalty means that it'll be dropped 10 places, so he'll be starting near the back of the grid anyway. But I think out of all the tracks, Mike, Silverstone is a decent track to get your grid penalty done because you can overtake, and usually there's some great racing.
Yeah, not only that, of course, the pit lane as well. Obviously, it's an incredibly slow pit lane here at Silverstone, so the undercut can work pretty well around you. but I've also seen the overcut work pretty well as well. So
it does depend on you. It does depend on the pace as well, and when you get stuck in traffic, you got to time your pit stops very nicely in Silverstone. If you come out in traffic, the overcut would work, but if you come out in clear air, then the undercut will work out quite comfortably. So you just got to go with your gut feeling, look at the track map as much as you can, and see, right, where do you think you would come out of. And speaking from experience, the soft tyres do last a long time around this track. It could last 8 or 9 laps for a push. It is one of those tracks where in some occasions the softs could be a lot better than the mediums, but we have seen that the mediums, starting on the mediums, could work good too. So this could be one of those tracks where we could see differing strategies, and I really like this.
Yep, a nice little mixing strategy is something that always intrigues the pair of us when we're in the commentary box, just because it does throw up a lot of different dynamics. I don't think we're going to see anyone checking on the set of the hards, though. I think
it's all for the hards.
Leaving them. I think they'll be leaving them. Historically, around Silverstone, they've never really been a good tyre to be on.
No, you lose so much time and grip as well, whereas the softs and the mediums, I just have the most grip, and it's more durable as well, and you could battle for ages. And like we've seen in the P2 tier tonight, and if you haven't watched the race back, it was a great one with a lot of battles, and we've seen that it's very crucial to stay in that DRS chain, because if you're not within DRS, you lose so much time to the cars in front, and you can kiss the position that you wish goodbye, which is a huge shame. So we want to see how they fare in terms of the DRS checking tonight. Will we see people work together who have similar pace and just switch DRS with each other, or will it be every man for themselves? We will find out in about 45 minutes time, because of course that is where the race is going to end. And of course there's a few people that were asked about what corners to watch out for, and the main place to overtake a lot of people, the overtake into turn 1. I've seen Tony Atzelot said a comment on that. Turn 1 is going to be the main opportunity, but really I don't think turn 1's going to be the main opportunity, because it's a high speed corner. Turn 3 is mainly going to be the first opportunity, but you don't really want to be the one that gets that overtakes. So you're going to lose the DRS. You want to be in that DRS train.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And obviously, I mean, you mentioned turn 3 at Village. Going to be very interesting to see how everyone's going to position themselves under braking and that, to obviously try and make sure that they can get the overtake done, but also try to make sure that they get DRS as well. In terms of turn 1, it's an interesting one, because you need a good run out of club down the Hamilton Straight. You need a very good run just to get alongside enough to really go for the move in towards turn 1. So it could be a good little overtaking spot, but it all depends on your run out of club.
Yeah, you need to get a good run out of club, and we have seen quite a few mistakes going out of that corner, which might have caused quite a few incidents in the earlier divisions this afternoon. So they got to be careful with that. And don't forget, the race is not over in the first few laps. It is 26 laps awaiting our drivers, and luckily the grid has been set because there's less drivers tonight, so the drivers have been told to ready up, which gives us a quick glance at our sponsors. So without our sponsors, One Hub Racing could not happen. Next Level Racing, these are the type of prizes the drivers could win this season, worth over £2,000. Oh my goodness, I wish I would have quite a bit of money, but thanks to Next Level Racing, these drivers could win it. Pure Sim Gear, the driver with the most fastest laps and poles combined, will win a pair of Pure Sim Gear gloves or socks. I have a sneaky suspicion on who I think's going to win that. I don't think it's going to be from this tier though, because we've had different pole sitters left, right and centre in this tier. Let's the team support our championship of power, and also the winner of the Going Against Tupper will win the Race the Dream t-shirt, and also the winner of our One Hub Racing driver rankings will win a One Hub Racing t-shirt. We also got our partner of SimGrid that provide the standings and run our community and platforms, and Mental Health Foundation. It is coming up to the winter period. It is a very tough time for all of us with the cost of living and the situation that's going on in the world. So please, if you are suffering, please contact the Mental Health Foundation, because it's a very good charity. So, quick reminder of what's at stake. If Tony scores points tonight, regardless of what Casper does, Tony will be crowned champion, P1 champion of season 25, our first champion. But we seen from last week, a few weeks ago, anything could happen. If Tony does not score, Casper needs to win with fastest lap to take the lead of the championship. So we will have to see what's going to happen, of course. But if Tony does not score, Casper needs to win in order to take the lead, because otherwise it will still go down Tony's favour next week.
I mean, the only way for Casper to keep it alive is obviously just by finishing ahead of Tony here tonight. Obviously, Tony having that advantage, that buffer, as you mentioned, with just being able to score a couple of points tonight. He doesn't have to win the race tonight. He can just score a couple of points. And Tony could play the psychological game, keep Casper under pressure, and just, make sure that he sits in behind him and then maybe takes it on the final lap, and that just add insult to injury, and just put the final nail in that coffin and Casper's title hopes.
Yes, indeed, because of course we had the Constructors' Championship being crowned a couple of weeks ago, so we could have the first tier to have both champions being crowned. And we thought we were going to have a tier champion being crowned tonight. It was going to be obvious, but Lawrence unfortunately disconnected, and he couldn't take control of his car. So that championship goes forward to next week, which is probably good for M125, because he thought that the championship would have been lost tonight. So he still gets another chance going into the final race next week in Canada. But I think it's more than likely a championship's going to be said and done. But Casper will keep them on the straight and narrow very, very soon as well. But we've got some interesting fights for second and third in the championship, because they have quite a bit of prizes going on as well in the championship. They get some trophy and some gift vouchers as well, and points being prized between the two of them. We've got the likes of Lukey and Axelot fighting for the final positions on the podium. Jacob's not here tonight, so really for the final spot on the podium in the championship, it's really between Axelot and Lukey. With Axelot starting on the front row now with Craiggie's penalty, Axelot could have a good chance of winning this race, because he's produced a very good pace, but he even admitted to me earlier on that he hasn't put that much practice in tonight. Yeah,
and honestly, credit to Axel for his lap, and if he hasn't put much practice in. But I mean, getting a lap together around Silverstone in qualifying is a lot easier to do than get consistent laps and a consistent pace going throughout the race. So maybe in the race we'll start to see the lack of practice coming for Axelot. But yeah, in terms of that battle for third, I mean, there's only 8 points separating them, Jess. Axelot leading Lukey by 8 points, and with J. Cole not here, it is between those two. And honestly, I don't know which way I'd go and who would come out on top of that one.
Yeah, I don't know too, because of course Lukey had a really strong first half of the season, whereas Axelot seems to pick up the paces in these last few races. So it's anyone's game between the two of them, and I hope to see the two of them fighting throughout this as well. And again, it's just such a great track to overtake. Looking at the tyres, and I was hoping we would have a split strategy from all of our drivers, and we do. We got 5 drivers on the softs. We've got the likes of Senna, Craggy, Samster, Barrett, and Entity. Everyone else, which is Axelot, Tony, Arnold, Casper, Nick, Lukey, Malvin, and Waitsy on the medium tyres. I was expecting Waitsy to go on the mediums. He's got his engine penalty, so he's starting at the back anyway. But that is something that I was not expecting. I thought most people would go on the soft. I had a feeling Casper and Nick would, because that's probably something they thought it would be a faster strategy, and they would probably want to be on 2 soft tyres for majority of the race, because the 2 softs in the race is doable around it. It can be done. But let's get your prediction in very quickly, Mike. Who do you think is going to be winning this race, and will we see a champion crown tonight?
I'm going to go Senna for the race win, and I'm going to say that the championship will be wrapped up tonight. I'm going to go Tony second with Axelot in third.
I'm going to go with Tony, Axelot, Senna. That's going to be my prediction. But With Arnold and Craggy not far behind, it's going to be interesting as we're waiting for Wade C to make his final slot onto the grid. With a lighting like that, it looks like he's in a Mercedes, but he is not. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here at Silverstone, and it is time to rock and roll as Axelot gets a good start. So does Tony, but Senna's got an even better start. Craggy trying to make his way around the outside of Tony in towards turn 2 of Farm, and now into Village now, and threading through the loop. Let's see if turn 3 could be tidy. Samstar had a bit of a moment, but apart from that, everyone seemed to keep it relatively clean. Both of the Hasses running side by side in towards the Wellington straight. We got one of the Hasses avoiding the bump, so let's see if that's going to gain quite a bit of time. Casper trying to go around the outside of Tony. He wants to score as many points as he can, and he's going to do so as Tony tried to get the switchback in towards Woodcote. We got Arnold following side by side as well, and what great action in the back as well. I think we got Entity and Samster fighting towards Woodcote as well. Will we see Moody to Cop's corner? Well, we saw Lewis Hamilton do it in real life, but we might see it here tonight as well. But what great battles we got so far.
Yeah, and what a fantastic start that was from Cracky. He's already got himself up into second place. Casper getting the move done on Tony, so he's doing what he needs to do and getting himself ahead of his championship rival. And looks like Casper's going to try and get through on Axlock here as well, as he's going to move to the inside for Stowe, and he's going to have it done before the break-in.
There we go. So Casper is up into third place. I think we got both the Astons and the Mercedes fighting with each other. Actually, 2 Mercedes and 1 Aston. There we go. As we do have Samson going to the pit, so he must have got a bit of damage there. So he'll probably go on to a set of the medium compound of tyres. We're starting on lap 2 of 26, and the front 2 are really working together. Even though Senna said it's every man for themselves, those 2 are making sure that Casper does not have any sniff of DRS, and that's going to help Axelot and Tony out quite a lot as DRS is enabled this lap. Let's see what Axelot could do heading towards Brooklands now. He's got a good run coming out of there, but he's just going to stay behind, manage his battery, because this is one of those tracks where managing battery can be quite difficult. If you use up too much in the first few laps, kiss that goodbye, unless we get a safety car where you actually get a chance to save it. But it seems to me most of the drivers on the memes seem to have a little bit of a feel for the track, because quite a few people that started on the softs have to pit. Sam Stern Bearer, they've had some huge issues, but Senna and Craggy, the outliers, despite Craggy's grid penalty, he's right there on the front row with Senna.
Yeah, I mean, Craggy's done very well to get through the cars on the opening lap to get up into P2. And normally, when you're in this position, you got teammates that are first and second. You'd think they're going to work together, as we just see Senna there again, a little bit under pressure, going a bit deep into the Vale chicane, and that's going to allow Cracky to close up, and Casper's closing up as well, so showing his pace. But normally, when you got 2 teammates in first and second, you expect them to work together. But obviously, with these 2. I mean, we've seen it so far this season. Like, they don't really work together. They like to get their elbows out with each other, which provides great racing for us, and it provides a lot of frustration, I think, for both of them in the cockpit. As Craggy gets through up in the P1 now goes Craggy.
That was very good from Craggy, but he's not going to have DRS, as I think, going into the hangar straight in towards... actually, no, that's Woodcote. That's Woodcote. Never mind. There's a few corners that look exactly the same around Silverstone. It's absolutely crazy. But I think Craggy did the right thing. But I know Senna is going to get a good run at the moment. And I think those 2 lost quite a bit of time, because Casper's gained a lot on them on this sector alone through Brooklands, just with those 2 fighting. So Casper is going to be at a huge advantage now. He's got the DRS that he needs to. Is he going to try and go for the lunge yet? Nope, he is not. But Senna's going to go through past Craggy into the lead. So they've got to DRS each other to make sure both of them have a sniff of the DRS. They can't afford to squabble too much, because that's where Casper and Axelot can gain a bit of time. And like I said, if you're not in a DRS train, that's where you're going to lose a bit of time. And everyone's in a DRS train apart from our bottom half. As Waity comes into the pits, so he must have had a bit of a shocker in this race so far. But what can he do, unfortunately? I will see if he's got a bit of damage to his car. I think he does. Yes, he does have front wing damage. So that is his first half of the race. I really would want a safety car for him to get back into this one. But we'll see what the Saubers can do heading towards Wellington Straight now, Mike.
Yeah, as Craggy re-overtakes Senna again down the Wellington Straight with DRS, and now Senna's going to probably line this up to get it back on the hangar straight. But, I mean, this is where those two kind of not working together at the start of the race has come back to hurt them, because they lost so much time to Casper. Now, Casper is well and truly in this DRS train, and he has Axlock, Tony, and Arnold in behind for the tow. I mean, Nick is just outside the DRS range. But because of that, like Casper, Axlock, and Tony, and Arnold are just going to be able to just hold on to the back of them, and eventually the medium tires will come through.
Here's Casper trying to go for the move. He's going to go for a double overtake into Stowe corner. Senna has none of it, and he didn't make it stick, unfortunately. I wish it would have worked. But the Saubers were working together, and they were like, nope. And that's allowing a Constantino effect, Mike. We got Tony, we got Axel, we got Arnold in this as well, Nick potentially. Or in this train, if one driver makes a mistake, that is game over. As Axel tries to make the move into turn number 1, no can do. But my oh my, this is some very great racing between our pretty much top 8 right now. Pretty much anyone in the top 10 in this train could win this race. They're all even on pace. They just got to make sure they do not pick up the time penalties. Casper is going to get another run later on the two Saubers. It just looks very opportunistic, but unfortunately he didn't make it stick. But it would have been amazing if he did.
Yeah, and I think inadvertently what Casper did there, because that didn't work out for him, inadvertently he kind of slowed up Axlock, which gave Tony the opportunity to get through, and that is not what Casper wants. He does not want his teammate directly behind him, because as we mentioned in that, Casper has to make sure he finishes ahead of Tony to stay in this championship. And Tony, I mean, he is right there behind him, waiting to lunge, and Casper getting very close to the back of Craggy through Chapel, but not going to be close enough to go for the lunge.
It comes out. Oh, Axlock thought about it, didn't he, Mike? But he just thought, nope, there wasn't much space to go for it. And here we go then. We got our first pitter.
Wow.
And what a move there. That was really, really good from the likes of Tony. Axlock is through into 5th now at the moment. We got Senna and Craggy P1 and P2. Now, I was not expecting Casper to come into the pits now, because he's on the medium tyres. So do you think he's going to be doing a double soft stint or a medium and a soft? Because I was not expecting him to pit this early. But Axelot and are now going side by side. They're going to lose so much time in the DRS train, so they've got to get a move on before Tony and Craggy gain up on them. But speaking of Tony and Craggy, round the outside goes Tony, and we got both of the Saubers just planting their cars in all the right places and not letting Tony through. But sure, Tony's going to try and go for maybe to Woodcote, maybe one of the Saubers. Nope, he's not. This is a great race between the 3 of them. Tony's going to try and go for maybe to Cops. There was almost contact being made. And they almost made contact there, but Tony is going to try and go for the movement to Maggots. No, he's playing it safe there. Wow.
Yeah, Tony is really trying to force the issue right now, as he should get past Senna now with the help of DRS down in the hangar straight. Job done for Tony. He takes the lead of this race. Cracky just a little bit too far back from his teammate to go for a move, and he has Arnold in behind him for company. And the interesting thing is Senna dives into the pit lane, so he's going to be opting. 10-second time penalty for Senna for speeding in the pits. And for him, I think, essentially his chances of a race went out the window without a late safety car to bring him back into it.
That was gutting. He got his first pole position here in One Hard Racing P1 tier, and we thought he was going to be one of the favourites to win this one. Mike, you predicted it, but it's all come undone. He would want a safety car so he could serve his 10-second penalty, but again, he's going to lose all that time. So really, that's brought Tony and Casper into contention for the race win. And Casper's really got to gain that time now on the rest of the field. He does not want to be held up by everyone. And luckily, he has got some clear air in front of him. He has overtaken Senna in the pit lane. So the undercut has worked in his favour. Senna has also gone for another set of the soft. So he's doing a double soft, then a medium later on. So he's thinking that there's going to be pretty much a safety car earlier on in this race, so they can go on to the mediums to the end. Very tactical for him. We'll see if that works, of course. But you're all at the moment. Tony leading from Craggy, Arnold, Atzelot, and Entity. Bearing in mind, some people have yet to stop. Nick also pit at the same time as Casper, and he is almost within the range of the DRS trade, but he's 2.4 seconds behind. So we'll see if anyone else comes in. We've got Craggy that is in. Craggy, please get the car slowed down just in time. Yes, he does, thank goodness. So Craggy comes in. Tony stays out. So does Atzelot? No, he doesn't. Atzelot comes into the pits. Arnold stays up to, again, the variance in the strategies.
Yeah, we're seeing Craggy and Atzelot come in now, and we're going to find out where they're going to feed out relative to the likes of Casper and Senna here. I mean, Casper has done a fantastic job with his undercut. The big question will be, what will his final set of tyres be? Like, will he opt to pit maybe a little bit earlier and go into a set of mediums? Or will he try and stretch out the softs to around lap 16, I want to say, or 17 or 18, and then switch on to a set of another set of soft tyres at the end? That's going to be the interesting thing, of whether or not Casper's going to stretch his tyres out, or whether he's going to go in a little bit earlier and chuck on a set of mediums.
Yeah, we'll of course we'll have to wait and see on that one in terms of those strategies, and see if that pays off or if that doesn't work well in his favour, because you just don't want to be on the hard compound tyres at all. There's a safety car now, then pretty much he is screwed in that regard. So we do have Arnold trying to potentially get the move on Tony before they go into the pit lane, and maybe those two could stretch those mediums a little bit longer, then go on softs, but anything can happen, of course. Tony comes in, so does Arnold, and they were going quite fast into that pit lane there, but again, they get the cars just in time. Entity comes in as well. Samson picks up a 3-second time penalty, so it's all going to be about, does that undercut work? If you're not in that clear air, maybe not, but if you do have that clear air like Casper, that's going to help as he comes through past the pit lane entry line, in towards Vale and into Club Corner right now. Casper is doing a really stellar job to make sure that he can keep everyone ahead, but Tony comes out of the pit lane. I think his teammate is going to be ahead. Yes, Casper is ahead, but Tony just needs to score points. That's it. If Tony scores points, it doesn't matter what Casper does. Tony is crowned champion. So no matter what happens now, Casper's just there for fun. But it seems to me that the undercut has worked well for Casper and Senna.
Yeah, and I think with the gap at the moment, there's 20 points the gap, right, between Casper and Tony.
I'll need to double check that, but I'm guessing.
I believe Casper's just got to finish ahead of Tony to keep the championship alive.
No, Cam has put the permutations in the chat, in the P1 chat. Because don't forget, there's 2 points for fastest lap. So hopefully those permutations are right. Hopefully Cam remembers that. Obviously, Casper did get that.
Yeah. If Tony finishes second with fastest lap, Casper has to win. Tony finishes third, Casper has to finish second. Yeah, Casper's got to beat him on track.
Yeah, Casper's got to beat him on. Casper's pretty much got to beat him on track. Yeah. So we will go through your permutation. So maybe it's not as easy as we thought, because obviously that 5-point deduction. So that's probably turned it quite a bit on his head right now. So that 10 out of 26. Casper still leads from Senna Tony. So this could all go to the final race in Canada. And I almost said the final race in Abu Dhabi, but we're not racing in Abu Dhabi. Maybe next season, potentially as well. You never know with that situation. I've just noticed, Mike, that the DRS train at the front has seemed to have broken down a little bit.
Yeah, of course, Casper going for his undercut. He was able to break away from the likes of Senna and the rest of the grid. Senna going in a lap earlier compared to Karagi and Axlock. He's managed to break away from him as well. Tony, obviously, he came into the pits. We know how quick Tony is, and he's come out. He came out behind Karagi, but he has managed to get the overtake done. And Axlock on the set, the sauce in behind, really getting onto the back of Karagi as they come through cops. And what we're seeing now, Jess, is the pit stop strategies, how they're playing out. We're seeing a few gaps form, but we're not going to know the full extent of these pit stop strategies until everyone has made their second pit stops.
We got Arnold trying to go for a move on Nick into Stowe, but Nick covers off very nicely on Arnold. Great stuff from him as well. Have to go, I think, the midfield battle making dividends as Arnold tries to go around the outside of Nick in towards Fail, not in towards the Hamilton. Straight they go, and Arnold, that was absolutely well timed. I think he just set the fastest lap of the race so far, and it's just crucial being in that DRS train. He's doing very well on fresher mediums compared to Nick, and now he's going to set his sights on Axelot and Craggy. Don't forget, Craggy's still on those medium tyres, Axelot on those softs. Different strategies once again, which is paying dividends, and Craggy is going to try and chase Tony down, because the more points Casper outscores Tony by, the more the championship is going to be even more exciting going into the final race.
Yeah, and of course Tony will know about Senna's time penalty right now, so he'll know that he doesn't necessarily have to overtake on the track. He knows he can do it in the second pit stop phase, but making sure he has that DRS, save up a bit of that battery, because both him and Craggy are down on their percentage compared to the legs of Axlock and Arnold in behind.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on their percentages now, and there's some people that are using a lot more ERS than others, to be say. And you don't want to be in a situation where you hardly have any left for the final half of the race, where everyone, I think, is going to be on the soft compound tyres. It is a mandatory two-stop race here at One Hub Racing, and if you don't get your two stops done, you will have an automatic disqualification, as we are about to start lap 12 out of 26. 1.9 seconds separating Casper and Senna, but Arnold trying to go for a move into turn one. A bit of contact was made between the pair of them as well, so I wonder the position has to be given back.
Nick there, almost losing the car after tapping the rear wing of Axlock there, and that's opened the door for Malvin to get through. Up in the P7 goes the Mercedes, man. And this is important in terms of the constructors' standings and that, because obviously with Axlock being the McLaren representative, you got both of the Saubers up ahead. Mercedes right now doing pretty decent, trying to close in the gap themselves, and you got both of the Aston Martins down in P10 and P12.
Yeah, I mean, the Aston Martins, it couldn't have been a worse race, unfortunately, for them. It's a strategy. It's just not working well. Some people got involved in incidents, but sometimes that is the luck of the draw, unfortunately. But they've got the final race to change things quite a bit. Let's look at stops, actually. Lukey has made his two-stop as Tony goes round the outside of Senna into the lead. Craggy gets past him as well. Senna is struggling. Maybe the 10-second penalty is getting to him.
Maybe, but also as well, on the first stint, we did see the soft tyres begin to slightly lose a bit of pace to the mediums around this point for the soft runners. So, I mean, I'm expecting to see Tony and Craggy now potentially begin to close up on Casper over the next lap or so.
This is going to be interesting. This could be dividends for the championship in terms of positions. For those who just joined us, thank you so much for watching One Hub Racing so far. Make sure you leave us a like on this stream. Hit that follow button if you're watching this on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And well done for everyone for getting us to 400 followers on our Twitch channel. And Arnold almost looks like he was going to get a run through Senna into Cop's corner, but couldn't quite do it. Doesn't want to be brave too much. I'm surprised, Mike, we haven't seen some safety cars so far. They're all keeping it relatively clean right now, as Entity goes for a move into Beckett's.
Yeah, Entity going for a move, getting it done on Malvin there. Good job from him. And as I predicted, Jess, I think the soft tyres are beginning to fall away because Tony is closing in on Casper.
Tony is, and that is not what Casper wants. That is not what Casper wants. So maybe pitting earlier for those set of soft tyres may have not worked for Casper. Yes, the undercut worked perfectly, but it's all about keeping those tyres a good operating window. Senna and Malvin come into the pit lane. We had Samster that has had a bit of a moment in towards, I think, Woodcote. I think Senna and Malvin was very glad that there was probably no safety car there, because that would have ruined their races so far. And because of Casper starting to give up the ghost on those soft tyres now due to the wear and the degradation, not really on pace, that's allowing Tony to close out Craggy, Arnold at slot now. This can mean anything in terms of who's going to win this one. This race is not over yet with that lovely helicopter shot, by the way.
Yeah, Tony just outside of DRS range on Casper. If I'm Casper, I'm coming into the pits at the end of this lap and I'm chucking on a set of mediums, because clearly, if he was to chuck on another set of soft tyres, it's not going to work out for him, because they will drop off before the end of the race. And he definitely needs to put on a set of the mediums right now. Tony and Craggy, I think, are going to extend this maybe to another set of soft compound tyres for the end of the race. But I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to come in next up and put on a set of mediums.
Nick's gone through on Axelot into Stowe corner. Axelot didn't have the DRS now. He lost about 2 seconds to Axelot, and that's allowing Nick to be like, thank you very much, that's my position. Casper's in the pits. Well, he had to, because he was losing so much time to Tony. And Tony stays out, of course. Again, Casper likes to trigger that undercut. But I think that might be a little bit too little too late here. But you never know.
Well, I mean, we saw on his first undercut the kind of gap he was able to get. Obviously, at this stage, Tony and Craggy's tyres were really helping them close up to Casper over the past 2 laps. Casper's now put on a set of the mediums. And he's come out again into relatively a good bit of clean air, so I mean, Casper's going to be able now to push to the end on those tyres, and they should be absolutely fine.
Yep. I think lap 15 is the earliest opportunity, I would say, for people to go onto the soft tyres. Anything earlier than that, you're going to be in a spot of bother. But with Casper on those medium tyres, that's going to be a good opportunity. He saw what Tony could do on those. As we're seeing Arno getting past Craggy. There we go.
Brilliant there on the run in towards Maggots and Beckett's, getting the job done. Arnold up into P2, but that bit of battle in between the pair of them, look at what it's done, is given.
Oh my goodness, that's changed everything. Craggy's had a bit of a moment. That's allowing Entity and Nick in. Craggy's in. Ooh. That spiced things up.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, well, that's done. It's allowed Tony to break away by 1.8 seconds. But after that little instant between Arnold and Craggy, the gap is now 2.8 seconds. And Tony can just think about his race now. Obviously, he will have to deal with Casper late in the race, but he'll have no one really around him to get in his way of that. So, are we going to see Tony clinch the championship here tonight?
I think Tony's in a very prime position, because look, he's trying to stretch those mediums to a good operating window. He does not want to have Casper outscore him. He doesn't. He doesn't want to have Casper outscore him. And he saw that without his moment in qualifying, he would have got pole. So it's just all about bringing it home for him. But you never know what Casper could do.
Yeah, and Casper right now on those fresh or medium tyres, he is going to be closing in on Tony. So I think he will get the jump on Tony again, but it's going to be a case of, if Tony stretches out to the set of the softs, how quick is Tony going to be on those softs versus Casper, who will be on slightly warm mediums at that point.
Very warm mediums towards the end of it as well. And don't forget, there's certain people that wanted the early undercut for the mediums, and there's ones who wanted to change strategy on the fly and go for the softs maybe as well, and that's what Arnold and Nick are doing right now. Luckily, no double stacking for those two, and luckily no unsafe pit releases. So there we go. So those two following in Casper's footsteps, but that's going to be very interesting to see if they close up to them later on as well. Casper's I think going to overtake both of them in the pit lane, but it might be quite a bit closer than we thought. Nope, it wasn't even close. So Casper is your net race leader at the moment.
Yeah, as Nick will be overtaken by both Craggy and Axlock here. Axlock, Arnold, and Nick all on a set of the soft compound tyres. Craggy on a set of mediums, and you gotta say as well, I mean, looking at that gap between Arnold and Casper, 3.7 seconds. I'm expecting that to close down over the next lap or two by around about a second, but I don't know if Arnold is going to have the pace on those soft tyres, and those soft tyres are going to have the grip to last, so he can continue to close in all the way to the end. I think
maybe next lap or the lap after would have been a much better opportunity than the end of lap 16. Yeah, it's one lap too early, I think. So maybe that's what Tony and Entity are praying. Entity's in. Entity's come in. To be fair, Entity has done a very decent stint on those medium tyres, so he wanted to stretch that for quite a bit so far. So here comes Entity into the pit lane, and he's going to go onto some red softs. Yes, he is. Tony stays out so far. Waity comes in for his final stops. I assume another set of softs will be going on to the car for the Aston Martin driver. 14 laps on those softs, fair play, but I couldn't have imagined how that would have felt on that car. Malvin's 10-second penalty, he was speeding in the pit lane and he retired. I wonder if he disconnected.
Did he pick up damage?
Did he bin it in the pit lane?
I don't think he binned it in the pit lane. I think maybe potentially he picked up damage and he just...
He just like sod it.
Yeah, maybe.
He is typing in the chat, so hopefully we'll get a little bit more information. Okay, it was not a wage quit. He's had some personal issues that he had to attend to, which is fair enough. Those come first at the end of the day. So Malvin has done the right thing, and he came into the pits and retired there. So shame that he's not able to complete the race, but family does come first.
Yeah, absolutely, and we hope everything is well, Malvin, and we hope everything is good, and you know, what's called it, just, you know, keep your head up. As Tony is now into the pit lane, and now she'll release Casper into the race lead.
Oh, here comes Nick. Nick's passed that a lot again, and he almost went past Craggy there. Those three are fighting crazy, and this could be for the podium, but they're way off R now, so it looks like we could have a Haas 1-2 and an Arnold P3 potentially as well. Here comes Tony out of the pit lane. I think Casper's going to breeze ahead. Yes, he is.
But Arnold, I was thinking, potentially getting onto Tony, and I'm getting flashbacks from 2 weeks ago now, Jess.
But they have been told that they're not allowed to help each other. They're not allowed to help each other, and Tony knows that. Tony knows the situation, and of course, if they have any sniff of that, that's going to be an absolute nightmare. As Nick down the inside, Craggy into Brooklands. Nicely timed from him. To be fair, Nick's pace has been sensational so far, and most of these drivers are keeping it relatively clean. Senna would have been up there without his 10-second penalty, but Atslot trying to get a move into Cobb's corner. Don't try and go for a move there. That would have been a nightmare, but he backs off. But this is going to be nail-biting stuff between these three.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony's just outside the DRS range, so Arnold will be able to close in on Tony with the help of DRS. Not going to be close enough for the move, but he'll be close enough to just keep the pressure on Tony for the time being, because, I mean, Tony on soft tyres, he is going to catch up to the back of Casper. It's all going to be a case of how much does Casper want this? How much is he going to get the elbows out? As Arnold with a brand new fastest lap, 27.9 from him. And Arnold being there, I mean, as long as it's not like what happened in Mexico, if he's just gonna fight and try to take the win or try to take P2 away from one of these two, like this is where it's gonna be very interesting in terms of the championship. Like how much does Arnold get his
Oh my
elbows out?
goodness! I thought Tony was gonna go for a move on Casper then. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, how much does Arnold get his elbows out than if with these two up in front of him?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, is Arnold just going to back off a little bit? As we almost saw Tony go for a move with Cops, but we could see a move heading into Maggots, and no, that wasn't going to be done on this occasion, but Nick's done so. Here comes Craggy, going to try to do a doubles overtake on both of them. Leave enough space, lads. Well done for keeping it safe on the brakes there, because that would have been a disaster. Tony, by the way, he's got to get the move done if he wants to win this championship. He's got to. This is championship nail-biting stuff right now.
Yeah, and of course, Tony's exactly where he doesn't want to be, in between himself. In between Casper up ahead, and of course Arnold in behind, because Arnold eventually will try to get this overtake done, and he might have looked on the inside and towards Village, and he might be able to get done as Casper's getting his elbows out, and that's actually helped Arnold get through.
Yes, he has. There's a bit of a squiggle from one of the Haas drivers. Oh my goodness. And they're going to keep fighting and fighting. Hopefully there's no little inter-team rivalries going on. As we can see, Arnold taking the lead. Casper goes around the outside, maybe. Tony's got to make the move stick. He's got to. Casper's going to go on the attacker. Oh, this is why Tony and Casper are the top two in the championship. They're just so even on pace. They're not working together now. They're fighting for the title. And Casper's fighting for his life. Tony wants to make sure he's ahead of Arnold. And we only got 5 laps to go. I can't call this.
I'll tell you what, with that DRS, it's going to allow Tony to get this job done here on Arnold. And Casper, though, a little bit too far back, but he is saving up his battery.
Yes, he is, and I think that's going to be very smart for Arnold, because with some other people, they've been pushing too much, and they're going to hardly have any ERS at the end, whereas Arnold's going to be very, very good, as Arnold has lost a bit of time on Tony. That's not going to be good for Arnold, not going to be good on Casper either, who's going to try and close in on Tony. And this is really, really exciting stuff, but this is Casper's last chance now. If he doesn't get the overtake done, that's it.
Yeah, and of course, if Tony's able to break away from Arnold with DRS, then it's going to be even more difficult for Casper to come back. I believe, like, towards the end of the race, we're going to see Casper's tyres become slightly better than, well, they should be similar pace right now to Arnold's tyres, but they should be on par, if not a bit better than Tony's towards the end of this race as well. So making sure that he is within a second of Tony come the final 2 laps is going to be crucial for Casper here.
Fastest lap as well. Fastest lap point is even more crucial in the permutations. Fastest lap could mean anything right now for both our Haas drivers. So we'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, I know to give my driver the day so far too. I think Entity has been driving so well to try and defend from these lot. But it looks like Nick's going to try and sneak P4 away from Entity. And Nick doing a superb job managing those softs to perfection. And that's going to allow him to stretch the gap a little bit. So Nick told me he likes this track, and he's proved us right so far.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic drive from Nick, and it's great to see again Nick up there fighting inside the top 5, because he's such a good and experienced driver that, you know, if you get to battle Nick, you're just in for an absolute treat.
Yeah, I think it's a shame I don't battle with him too much, because of course he's a lot quicker than me, but the ones we've had battle Nick on in the past always credit his incredible racing. As we could see, Entity trying to go for the move around the outside in towards Brooklands. Nicely done. I think with the DRS, it was just so powerful there. Nick could try to go around the outside, but he knows Nick's going to have the DRS in towards Stowe, which is where he made the move before.
Yeah, and having that DRS in towards Stowe, arguably, in my opinion, so much more crucial than having it down the Weldon Street. Just because it is a longer DRS zone, and of course, getting an overtake done there on the final lap, as well as you would think that Nick would be setting up for the final lap to get the overtake done. It's just going to be so much more sweeter for the Mercedes.
Yep, it is. As we can see, Craggy tried to go for the move, or, well, Axelot trying to go for the move on Craggy, but couldn't quite do so thus far. And sometimes it's the midfield battles. It's great to see this battles happening all over the show. It shows that anything can happen in league racing. I believe we're on lap 24 out of 26. Yes, we are. Tony's stretching the gap by 1.1 seconds. I know what Tony's doing now. He knows he's got the gap in front. He's been saving his tyres, and now he can push for those last couple of laps and try and bring it home for him and the Haas team.
Well, I mean, for right now, I mean, there's absolutely nothing that Tony to do, and Casper is just going to fly past Arnold here with DRS down the inside in towards Brooklyn's. Job done for the Haas. The main thing right now for Tony is just making sure that his tyres do not fall away at the end of this race. So he has that 1.6 second gap, and we're going to see if Casper can close that in. But without DRS, it's going to be very difficult for Casper.
Yeah, it's going to be probably one of the most trickiest things ever. 1.5 seconds. How is he stretching that gap? That is incredible. And we thought that those softs were going to be dying like a cat on fire, but he's proving us wrong so far as well. Nick's going to try and go for the move on Entity again, as Entity tries to close the door on Nick, but couldn't quite do it thus far. Nick down the inside. Entity tries to cover off. Here goes Nick. Up into fourth once again. And Craggy and Axelot in this once more as well. Now could still get second place from Casper. His fight is not over as well. There's so many contenders for driver of the day. Like, they're all driving so incredible right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And a bit of a mistake there from Casper, losing the back end slightly through a collab. That's allowed Tony to get the gap up now to near enough 2 seconds. It's just actually gone over 2 seconds, 2.1 now. And all hopes for Casper seem to be falling away here, and the championship seems to be going one way and one way only, and that's to Tony.
Basically, Casper's eliminated regardless if Tony wins, even with fastest lap. So if Casper wants any shot now of winning his title, Tony has to finish second and Casper must win. And even then, Tony still has a very good chance of winning it next week. So Casper's got to get a move on. But Arnau's not giving up without a fight. Arnau can't help Casper, because otherwise they'll get more point deductions, and that would give Tony the title. So they're going to have to... Oh, that's game over. That is game over for Casper. 3-second time penalties. So that means, unless Tony bottles it, we could have a newly crowned P1 champion at the end of the next lap.
I think Casper knows it's over now, and I think Tony, after seeing that 3-second pop up now for Casper, I think Tony is gonna maybe take a little bit of a foot off the gas now. Maybe not push as hard.
No, he's not. He's not gonna take his foot off the gas.
I mean, you never know. The pressure's off him, though.
Yeah, the pressure's off him at the moment, but I wonder if he's going to try and go for fastest lap. You can see he's got his ERS enabled, his overtake enabled, but I'm not going to jinx thing here. But let's talk about Tony's performance this season. He has had the most wins out of anyone this season in the P1 tier. He has been very consistent. He's fought his way back up if he's struggled. He's like, I know he's DNF quite a few times, but he's like, I'm not going to let that face me. I'm going to let the championship charge carry on. He's been fast in a lot of races so far. He's got pole in quite a lot of them as well. So he could be in a good shot of winning the gloves later on as well. And he's going to be our first champion. He exits Stowe Corner for the final time. We've seen many greats win Britain at their home track. Lewis Hamilton, of course, won here in July, and Tony's going to follow in in Hamilton's footsteps. But here comes Tony, your newly crowned P1 tier champion for season 25. He could celebrate. And I wish there was donuts that he could do there, but unfortunately he can't. Arnell made the move on Casper to take second place. I couldn't follow that because obviously something happened. Entity in 4, Craggy 5th, and Nick will cross the line in 6th. I do not know what has happened to those guys, but I think Craggy must have got the move on the pair of them, which was great stuff. I'm sorry I missed that, unfortunately. Both of the Asters are fighting. Way to get to 9th, Lukey 10th. Then we just got Samster and Barrett to cross the line, but Tony, take a bow. You are a champion. Was it never in doubt?
Yeah. I mean, at points in this race, you thought that Casper could have maybe finished this race ahead of Tony, but that final stint, as soon as he came out of the pits, not too far behind Casper, it was going to be very difficult for Casper to keep him behind. It was all going to be about if Casper could stay with him, then tried to re-overtake him when the tyres were going towards the end of the race, and that just did not happen for Casper.
Yeah, I think he knew as soon as Tony overtook him and the gap started to increase, he knew he could just have a little bit of fun with Arnold and not let that phase him a little bit. So, but it was a good fight between the two Hasses. Of course, they won the Constructors. I think if it wasn't for Mexico and them helping out a little bit, I think the championship would have gone down to the final race with Casper in 3rd, but those 5 points can make or break a driver.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Silverstone now completed, just one more race to go now, Jess. One more race until the end of the season, but what a win from Tony, and a well-deserved championship on his mantelpiece as well.
Yep, he's going to get a trophy. He's going to get a gift voucher. He's just going to... If I was Tony for next week, he's won this title now. Please start at the back. Please start at the back. He didn't get the Grand Slam, the fastest lap. Arnold, I think, snatched it in the final few laps. Sorry, burp. So here are your results there. We've got Tony from Arnold, Casper, Entity, Craigie, Nick, Atsock, Senna, Waitsy, Lukey, Barry, Samson, your point scorers, and Malvin, unfortunately, has retired. And once you got the fastest lap outside the top 10, that belongs to Barry. So he gets the same points as Samster because he got the fastest lap outside the top 10 there. But, Mike, for the penultimate time this season, we got to pick our driver of the day. So who would you like to go for, and what would you like to ask him?
Well, I think I know who your potential driver of the day is. I think is a driver currently in P4, so I'm not going to pick that driver. I'm going to give my driver of the day to
How did you know?
Tony. Just because of how he came through the field and everything.
Yeah, you're right. My driver of the day goes to Entity, but what would you like to ask your driver of the day? Sorry.
My driver of the day is going to be Tony, and my question for Tony, of course, is going to be congratulations on winning the championship. Pressure is now off going into the final race of the season. How are you going to be approaching it? Are you going to start from the back, or are you going to go all out to try and end the season in spectacular fashion with a pole, fastest lap, and a race win?
That is a good question. So my question for Entity, saying your pace on your final stint was incredible, having to hold off the likes of Nick, Craggy, and Axelot. Did you think you were going to have a shot on beating those drivers today, or did you think you were going to have a chance to begin with? And well done for climbing through the field. So that is my question for Entity. We'll have our quick final word from our sponsors, Next Level Racing, Vespa Team, Pure Sim Gear, Mental Health Foundation, and SimGrid. Without them, the league could not happen. And we head to the final round of the season already next week, Mike. Canada, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It has caught many champions in the past. Let's hope it doesn't haunt Tony. But luckily he's won the title anyway, so it won't haunt him too much. But What do you think going into Canada next week? What does everyone else need to do? Because for some people, they still got to fight for point in the championship.
Well, I mean, I think the main thing that everyone's going to need to do ahead of Canada is make sure you put a lot of practice in, because penalties are going to matter around Canada. It's so easy to pick up a 3-second time penalty, so easy to invalidate your lap in qualifying, and you never know what the conditions are going to be like, and it's just such a grueling circuit just on the concentration levels. The driver's going to have to put in a lot of time and a lot of practice around that circuit to be on it, to make sure they get the maximum of the championship season.
Yes, and this is a track where obviously the drivers is decided now, constructors, they can have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to predict that we're going to have a new race winner that we haven't seen this season. I'm not going to say if it's a maiden race win or not. I'm just going to say it's going to be a different race winner to what we've seen all season. That is my bold prediction. But we are going to wrap it there. Thank you so much. If you've been watching it live or post-event, we really appreciate your company. Make sure you join us next week, same time at 7 p.m. UK time for the final race in Canada. And we also got the P2 tier at 5 p.m. UK time, and we'll see whether M125 or Lawrence will be crowned the P2 champion. We'll find that out in a week's time. But for myself and Mike, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week for the championship finale. Good night.